Okay, welcome everybody. So this is class 2 for our course on karma, Abhidharma, Kosha, and karma. So we get started here with Heart Sutra. I find I blab a lot with these classes and I end up going over, so I want to always try and keep to the 1 hour set time there for people. Okay, starting with Heart Sutra. We're blessing our practice here today. Homage to the perfection, wisdom of the Blessed Mother. Thus I have heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgir in Mass Vulture's Mountain, where the great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. In that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of countless aspects of phenomena, all profound illumination. That time also, Spirit of Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of profound perfection of wisdom, looking perfectly also at the 5 aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Then through the power of Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Spirit of Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, how should a son of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and Spirit of Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly also at the 5 aggregates being empty of inherent existence, form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is none other than form, and form is none other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness, having no characteristics. They're not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, and no consciousness. There's no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mentality, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, no phenomenon. There is no I element and so forth up to no mentality element, also up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, no exhaustion of ignorance, and so forth up to no aging and death, and no exhaustion of aging and death. Likewise, there's no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted awareness, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds have no obstructions and no fear. Passing on and beyond perversity, they attain the final nirvana. Also, all Buddhas reside perfectly in the 3 times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifest complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it's not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is proclaimed, Tayata, Om Gata Gata Paragata Parasamgati Bodhisoha. Shariputra, bodhisattva, great beings should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Blessed One arose in that concentration and said to Spirit of Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, that he'd spoken well. Good, good, O son of the lineage, it's like that. Since it's like that, just as you have revealed, in that way the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, Spirit of Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, the entire circle of disciples, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, and spirits, were delighted and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. Okay, so just take a moment here to do our 9-point breathing. Again, 3 breaths in through the left nostril, out through the right, getting rid of desirous attachment, being stuck, hung up on things. 3 breaths through the right nostril, out through the left, getting rid of anger, reactivity, frustration, passive aggressivity, whatever. 3 deep breaths through both nostrils. Hold the last inhalation. Just hold it at your navel. Put your mind there. Mix the mind, prana, and breath together. And then release. Okay. Okay, so just as we finish up here, I've probably shown everybody this a million times, but just for the George show, uh, Refuge field that we're visualizing for this course, we've done it before, but this is kind of like the standard LamRim refuge tree visualization that you get in the Gelugpa tradition. So it's very beautiful. There's Buddha Shakyamuni at his heart. You can barely orient 3D come out of the screen here. So you can see at his heart, ooh, there's Vajradhara and Vajradhatu Ishvari just up there, right? And then Maitreya is on this side, Manjushri's on this side, sort of in their little bodhisattva form. You can see if I show there, see? And then all the lineage gurus. And here they don't really have, Vajradhara is kind of cut off at the top here in the picture. This is from Glenn Mullen put out a book years ago, I think called Secret Arts of Tibet. It was from one of the monk tours of Drepung Losing, I think in the early 90s or something. So they brought all this stuff, I think was from Drepung Monastery. This one, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, it's in that book. This is supposed to be all the tantric gurus here. And then here's they have, that looks like, I don't know who that is anyway. That looks like Pabunka Rinpoche, but anyway, I'm not too sure. But you'll have your root teacher in front, teachers here, and then the different classes of Tantra going on, 16 arhats, different Dharmapalas at the bottom. And you can see it's supposedly, don't really have it, but it's supposed to be a tree coming out of the lake here. And the four guardians of the four directions at the bottom here. And there's always, it's very cute, which I always love. There's a little monk always making a mandala offering at the, like us, right? That's what we're doing, just in a little corner. They always stick the little guy at the bottom there. Okay, great. So let's get busy visualizing just that. So let's visualize ourselves being in a wide open space on a ground like lapis, easy to sit on, and we're surrounded by all sentient beings, starting with those closest to us and moving outwards. So our mother on our left, father on our right, people we love the most behind us as support, people we like the least in front of us as objects of our compassion and practice. Moving outwards from that, people from all over the world, people in our neighborhood, our work, and so forth. Going out to people from, again, all cultures and places and so forth. We're all here together like a big family. The animal realm's all here, so we can just feel that all just beings, all little beings and big beings in the animal realm, all sort of planet Earth Gaia is all here. And in the spirit world is all here. We can visualize all the beings, Bardo beings, beings from the astral, ethereal, elemental realms, and so forth. Shamanic friends of mine always say that the spirit world is as varied as the animal world, and just as many classifications as beings. And they're all sentient beings like us. Sentient beings defined as a being that wants to be happy and doesn't want to suffer. So when you look at it that way, there's a lot of beings out there that fit this description. So then celestial God beings, demigods, and then countless numbers of beings, really beyond count. We can just feel sort of at the upper periphery of our vision here. Beings for lower states of rebirth, hell beings and hungry ghost beings that are in terrible states of suffering. In this case today, they're going to be meditating with us and very pleased to practice. So beautiful blue sky above us, and right in the center here above us, like a huge mural or sort of hologram or reflection on a surface of a lake, is the beautiful Giorgio tree, refuge tree visualization. So we can feel out of Lake Manasarovar near Mount Kailash there in the Himalayas. This beautiful tree made out of pure energy, going all the way up into the sky, just gigantic. Like a big Christmas tree with all ornaments. The ornaments in this case are all the different holy beings, light beings, Buddhism, bodhisattvas. So the central figure is the biggest in the middle, like a big moon. It's Buddha Shakyamuni, and he has the 3 robes of a monk, and holding a begging bowl in his left hand. Right hand is in the subduing mudra. Pure golden energy, and he's on a lion throne, lotus, moon, sun seat. It's Buddha as we usually see him, just pictures and videos and so forth. And at his heart, as we saw earlier, is his higher form as a Sambhogakaya form. This is when we visualize in the regular Buddha way, he's what they call Supreme Nirmanakaya form, Supreme Emanation form. Now we're looking at his higher angelic form as Conqueror Vajradhara and Vajradhatu Ishvari, kind of like yin yang, harmony of opposites couple. And they have beautiful sapphire blue bodies made out of pure lighter energy, wearing crowns and beautiful jewelry and so forth. In sexual embrace, she's straddling him with her arms around his neck. He has a bell in his left hand, Dorji in his right, that's around her back. She's got a skull cup with an nectar in her left, and right is in the threatening mudra with the curved knife or drigu. And if you're really good at visualizing, you can visualize just at their heart level between them, very, very small, the hum letter, H-U-M, representing the enlightened mind or Dharmakaya mind of the Buddhas. And this is emitting soft rainbow light in all directions, like a big bubble going up. On our left, our Buddha's right, Buddha Maitreya, Buddha of loving kindness, he's got his hands in the turning the wheel Dharma mudra, and in lotus position, beautiful golden body, two white lotuses. Beautiful, is wearing a crown, and he's surrounded by all people that have taught the vast path of Buddhist teachings on bodhicitta and compassion, for instance, like Arya Sangha and Vasubandhu being two famous saints we include in that group. And on the other side, in the same kind of bodhisattva form, is Buddha of wisdom, Manjushri. Same, looks the same in this case. He's holding, in returning the wheel of Dharma mudra at his heart, two white lotuses. He's got a crown, golden body, lotus position, and surrounded by all teachers who have taught the profound path of Buddhism, all teachings on emptiness, wisdom realizing emptiness, like Arya Deva, Nagarjuna, Arya Nagarjuna, the big one, Janakirti, Buddha Buddha, and so forth. Behind the Buddha is Vajradhara solo. So he's just in lotus position, his arms crossed like this, with all the tantric gurus around him. Anyone that has taught the Vajrayana paths. And in front, we visualize Buddha, we visualize our main root teacher of this life, and then all the teachers that have taught us correct spiritual paths. And going down towards us, like I say, almost kind of like a little bleacher, whatever, at the hockey game. We've got all the different classes of tantric gurus, 16 arhats, bikinis 24 places, 1,000 Buddhas of this aeon, 16 arhats, 16 offering goddesses, all the different dharma protectors, just kind of like everybody else. All the other light beings are up there as well. This beautiful tree. So my teachers can, Chopa, the secretary of previous Asonian Sri Rinpoche, always said that part of the problem with visualizing is we make everything small when we're doing this. It's like I'm in my room and then but is this big in front of me? And he's just like, make it huge, make it like the size of Canada, make it the size of the United States, like make this a huge visualization. So like a big mountain. I'm up here in Nelson and go downtown, there's like a big mountain. We can visualize this tree being that big. To pure lighter energy, just as a way of expanding our mind. Okay, taking refuge here. I know sentient beings to achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I know sentient beings to achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I know sentient beings to achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Generating bodhicitta through the virtues we collect by giving other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. So in other words, through the 6 perfections of giving, moral discipline, patience, joy, concentration, meditative stabilization, and wisdom realizing emptiness, all these different little Buddhist arts that we do, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all, because we're doing them just with the bodhicitta motivation. Everything we're doing for the enlightenment of all things. This is just what we're cultivating right now. Sitting here, taking a moment to really get clear on our intentions for our practice today. So we do that, and the Buddhas read our minds, of course, and are very, very happy. So right now they're just sort of shooting down beautiful white light It's just like the sun coming out behind the clouds, beautiful white light, blessing, purifying all the beings around us, flushing out all of their shadows, negativities, stains, obscurations, and so forth. And for us, we can visualize that it's kind of like energy, like a nectar milk is coming down into our crown. So almost like if it's from the Buddhas, all like little tiny threads of energy all joining together to make sort of beautiful nectar going through our body. Again, just feel that it's just like a high-powered like soap from Costco or something, like super, just cuts grease, just, and then our body becomes crystal clear and clean. Just all going down the drain there to the earth, all of our negativities and bad minds and bad karma and so forth. And now golden lights and nectars are coming down. So first part's purification, second part's the empowerment. So the empowerment part here, just like beautiful, hot, bright sunlight. All this is going out to all beings. Everyone's going up a level, kind of like in a video game, getting powered up, becoming more virtuous and happy, blissful, joyful, and wise. And same thing with us. It's just kind of like a golden nectar and like liquid sunlight going into our bodies. Because we're crystal clear, it's glowing. The four measurables, may everyone be happy, may everyone be free from misery, may no one ever be separated from their happiness, may everyone have equanimity, free from hatred and attachment. Good love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Just feel that Buddhas are blessing us with that, sort of like a golden energy going us with these four energies within it. And the golden nectar is kind of like power, sort of compassion, love, joy, and again, equanimity, sort of balance, friendly, caring attitude. And it's sort of coming out in all directions from us like a big bubble going out and blessing all the beings around us. Okay, 7 limb practice here, making our practice Buddhist. So prostration, offering, confession, rejoicing, blessing the Buddhas to stay, to teach, and dedication. So first of all, prostration, just at our hearts here, we can just feel we're making prostrations and singing praises and having great minds of devotion to the merit field here, to the refuge tree, the Shakyamuni, all the Buddhas and Gurus here. Now we say to kind of in the Giorgio text, visualize you and all sentient beings are making prostrations here, bowing. Now opening our heart and offering here. We can visualize millions of beautiful butter lamps or candles or Japanese lanterns, offering light or wisdom. I like flowers myself, so I always visualize beautiful flowers in all directions, like gardens. I'm fortunate enough to spend lots and lots of time in Japan over the years, and so all the beautiful Zen gardens I've been to, I always visualize, and cherry blossoms and so forth. Confession and rejoicing. So again, just acknowledging, standing up, declaring. Buddhas are omniscient anyway, so they see everything you've done and everything that you are. In this case, sort of before all sentient means you stand up and here I am. All the good things about me and all the bad things about me, because this is a path of perfection and self-overcoming. That's what we're committing to. It's just relentless, constant, endless rounds of self-overcoming and just letting go of all of our bad habits and negative minds, all the little mediocre and mean-spirited, resentful, the Nietzschean idea of ressentiment, sort of the revengeful minds that we have towards ourselves and other people. All of this we're going to let go, outgrow, and leave behind through our work, our spiritual work. And think of the good things, all the good things we do, the virtues of other people, the Buddhas, and so forth. Again, I would say put on the news, it's nothing but negative stuff, but we could just as easily broadcast all the good things in the world, all the good things that we see and do in our day-to-day lives. So taking a moment to think of that, rejoice, be happy about it. And now Buddhas are always shining and teaching, but we always want to make sure there's a bridge between us and them, not to blow the bridge up with our negative, selfish mind. So again, deploying the bridge to the Buddhas here, we just ask the Buddhas to stay and to teach. So just holding in our heart a wonderful lion throne and sending that up, dissolves into Buddha's lion throne. Just please, Buddha, all the Buddhas, all of our teachers, our gurus, always stay with us no matter what. No matter when we're acting like total clowns and total idiots and bad people, nevertheless, don't give up on us. Completely always stay with us. And again, sending up now our golden 8-spoked Dharma chakra, always teach us and guide us. And then we always have teachers, again, that guide us personally with personal advice, tailored just to us. Not just out of Dharma books, these sort of general universal rules that apply to everyone. You don't know how to apply in your personal life, but actually a real teacher that knows you directly, how to take these teachings and to help you integrate them. And I think we always have that. And Buddhas always appear as these teachers for us. And now dedication. Let's dedicate all of this wonderful energy for the enlightenment. Last offering here, just holding in our heart the mandala, purified universe here. Meru, 4 continents and subcontinents. Visualize all the possessions of a Chakravartin royal person. 16 goddesses offering things. Well, we usually have them at 8 here, but we can think of 16 if you want. Just the 8 ones, and the sun, the moon, victory, banner, and precious umbrella, and so forth. All these sort of auspicious, symbolic, beautiful things we're offering up. Purified universe. And same thing, we visualize that repeated, like almost in a hall of mirrors, all these universes filling all space, beautiful flowers falling between them. Opening our hearts to the refuge tree. Holy ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers. Mountain, 4 lands, sun and moon, seen as a Buddha land, and offer thus may all beings enjoy such pure lands. We offer without any sense of loss the objects that give rise to our attachment, hatred, and confusion. Our friends, enemies, bodies, and enjoyments, please accept these and bless us to be released from the 3 poisonous minds: attachment, anger, and ignorance. Send forth this precious mandala to you, precious teachers. Om Edam. And one more time here in Georgia, they say we've done all this offering, just like the circle of giving here, reciprocity and shamanism. We offer up, we get the blessings or energy back. Again, golden lights are coming down in nectars for us and all sentient beings. Like sunlight dissolving into our body, powering us up. Wisdom energy, compassion energy, power energy. And dissolution here, let's just visualize that before we dissolve Buddha into our hearts, just everything starts to melt inwards. So it's in the beautiful sky above us here, just this huge vision starts to dissolve into golden light. So we can feel the lake and the trees start to melt into light. All of the Buddhas and light beings in front start to melt inward into our root teacher, who then dissolves into the Buddha. On either side, the vast path and profound path gurus dissolve into Maitreya and Manjushri respectively, and they become like little suns, balls of light that sort of dissolve inward. And all the tantric gurus behind Buddha melt into Vajradhara, and he becomes a ball of blue light, sapphire blue light, and he comes over and dissolves into Buddha. So now we just have Buddha Shakyamuni in the sky like a big sun in a clear, sort of clear summer sky like we have now. And then even he melts, just his lion throne, all of that, lotus cushion, all melt inwards into Buddha, and then he melts above and below into his heart, into the divine couple, Vajradhara and Vajradhatishvari. And now even they start to get smaller here. It's like a little blue diamond or a little blue sapphire, blue piece of lapis in the sky, radiating soft rainbow lights. And they come down the crown of the head, just like a little star. I always want to say shooting star, but you see shooting stars, they move really fast. So we want to do this really, really slow. And they come to the crown of our head, about a foot above us here. Turn around, so they're facing the same direction. Very small, about the size of a sunflower seed. And they enter into our crown chakra. They're made out of light, so they can just sort of come into us very easily. And they descend our central channel in front of our spine into our heart. And once they reach our heart, that they melt into our root mind of clear light. And like I say, you've got a cup of hot water and you drop a sugar cube into it, instantly melts. Beautiful sort of blue Buddhas melt into us, and just feel that their mind, their Dharmakaya mind, and our mind are the same. Their mind, which is just clear and cognizing, a sheer openness, which is meditating on emptiness directly. So it's like empty space and a blue sky, both merging together. And we have this exact same mind. This is being activated. The experience of complete just spaciousness and totality. And with that totality comes great, great peace and bliss, as well as great, great joy. So just gradually coming out of meditation here. A short little meditation today. Okay. Great. So let's just look at our class today. It's funny because I always say, I always make a point of saying joy and bliss, oh joy, oh bliss. And I just feel that it's nice to cultivate both. I was just thinking that a lot of times with bliss, there's different descriptions of it, but I know with, like Lama Yeshe always said, that feeling of totality, right? That you want to feel, this idea of there being no duality or separation. And with that comes, sort of a sense of bliss, completion, totality, peace and rest. So I was thinking that's a feeling we get a lot of times as an adult. Maybe when you find a degree of peace or appreciation or sort of great rest at times, that sort of great sort of bliss, different things. Albert Camus, that famous French philosopher, who's always been one of my heroes, but he always said, every artist is just trying to recapture maybe 2 or 3 experiences they had as a child when their heart was completely open. And that's like a great line that I really, really like. And so, that sense of peace or bliss that you get when you're a little older, when you've got that perspective. But I always add joy, because joy, in almost a Nietzschean way, I think it's nice to have that in the sense it's creative. And I always think of joy, the happiness you had when you were a kid, when you were completely innocent and you weren't hung up, and you didn't have all these anxieties and stuff like that. Like you can just play, and there's a great sense of being in the moment. There's a sense of power and vitality with that. So when we're meditating, always bringing these 2 values in with us, the bliss and the joy. Anyway, I just wanted to share that came to me. So I remember somewhere they always said, be like, when you're older and samsara, it's like you're a grandparent. I'm not a grandparent, I don't have kids, but I can just imagine, they say, being like a grandparent watching your grandkids play. Like there's a sense of love, but not being completely invested in things, which I think is sweet. So, the bliss that comes with that attitude or peace. And then you can be like the children playing, right? Anyway, just had to share that. That came to me. Okay, so second class here, we did just sort of an intro last week, and the second one here from Asian Classes Institute, course number 5 on karma and Abhidharma Kosha, Vasubandhu's work, and I know that Geshe Michael's added in a couple other texts as well. I always have to say this, maybe in the future we can study this as well, but LamRim Chenmo is, of course, where they have a lot of, Tsongkhapa has codified it, a lot of the stuff on karma. So if you want questions answered, this or that, that's always sort of a text to go to. So, okay, class 2 just put in for this week is just kinds of karma here. So there are 3 kinds of karma and 4 kinds of good karma. So when we talk about what karma is, 3 kinds of karma. One is the good deed or virtue, which is something which is the short time brings you a pleasurable experience in which ultimately protects you from suffering by bringing you to nirvana. So, okay, that's sort of good karma, which of course ripens in good experiences, happiness. But in the big picture, when you can stack that good karma, it will lead you to nirvana or enlightenment, which is the ultimate happiness, of course, where there's no true sufferings. Second kind of karma is a bad deed or non-virtue. It just brings you a karmic result, which is an undesirable, unpleasant experience. We all know about that being in samsara. And then third one is a karma, which is other than these 2, which is, in other words, a neutral karma. So it's funny. I mean, I don't think we're only, I think because the way we are as sentient beings, where you want to be happy, we don't want to suffer. Those are the 2 karmas we pay attention to. But a lot of karma, of causality that's going on, is stuff that's neutral, that you don't care about one way or another, right? In other words, you're just whatever on the street waiting for the bus and there's a piece of litter on the ground or something, or whatever, like a bird flies by you or something. There might be just these kinds of karmas where it's just neutral. You don't have an opinion on it or an effective content one way or another. Okay, so that's a little bit straightforward. So 4 kinds of good karmic deeds. Number 1, I'll try and pronounce the Tibetan here, which is listed as Dundub Gewa, which is nirvana, the only ultimate good deed, which is nominally karma, though it's not an action. So actually, in the description, in the sort of the little list here, one of the 4 kinds of good karma is actually nirvana itself, which is, I guess, because it's good. It's good because it's the complete cessation, removal of all sufferings, and great bliss. And so it's listed as a good karma, but technically it's not an action. It's not sort of, so they say it's anomaly listed as a karma here. So that's the first one. Second one of the 4 kinds of good karmic deeds is Nowo Anye Kiegewa in Tibetan, I guess, which is basically a good deed or good karma. In other words, by its very nature. So these are karmas that are good by their very nature, which is interesting if we can talk that way. So what are these 5 good karmas that are good by their nature, which are always good? Even if you're a crappy person doing them, they're always good karma. So first one, which is non-desire. Second is non-hatred. Third is non-ignorance. In other words, this is interesting. So I have listed, which is an understanding of emptiness of things, therefore not desiring, right? So, or not hating, or not having ignorance, in other words, wisdom. So in other words, when we have a sense of an understanding of emptiness and have it as sort of a practice within our lives, when we're doing things and applying that almost like as an antidote to the 3 main poisons of desires, attachment, hatred, anger, these kinds of things, and ignorance. These things are kind of purified. These, sort of these 3 just good karmas that are good by themselves. That sort of pure energy is, I guess, cultivated, and then sort of shoos away or removes those 3 bad delusions. So again, it's an understanding of emptiness in relationship to these 3 poisons. So it's cultivating their opposite, which is a virtue. In other words, non-desire, non-hatred, non-ignorance, right? And non-ignorance, you can just call it wisdom. So the next one are avoiding bad deeds for reasons relating to yourself, which is shame and embarrassment. And finally, number 5, or the 5th good deed, which is good by itself, which is avoiding bad deeds because of someone else might find out, which is consideration. So that's interesting. In other words, this is a sense of your karmic conscience, so to speak. So it's always good if you have a sense, and it's very funny because I know nowadays, something like shame and embarrassment in our culture is seen as sort of a negative thing. But what it means here in this context is having a sense of shame that you won't do something to hurt yourself. Right? There's a sense of inner integrity or propriety that's motivating you not to engage in negative things or negative deeds. Okay, so anytime you have that sort of sense of personal shame or embarrassment, I guess you could say kind of like a personal integrity or personal ethical conscience, that's good in and of itself. It's always good to have that. And then the other one is having this inner consideration for others. So avoiding bad deeds because someone else might find out. And of course, avoiding bad deeds, consideration, when you look at low regular mind and mental factors, and also you're considering others, the impact these deeds have on other people. So it's not just that other people find out that you've been a bad person, but also we want to have always that sense of consideration that we're checking are we being harmful to other people? Right? So having this sort of inner and outer integrity all the time, if we can, that's always good. No matter what, that's an always good thing. So I have listed 4 and 5 are always present when doing virtue. So actually the claim here is that when you're being a virtuous person doing good things, there is, I guess, in some low level of awareness, a sense of this integrity, sense of shame, and sense of consideration, which is interesting. So I don't want to, again, this end up being a philosophy lecture, of course, like unfortunately it degenerates into most of the time with me, but this is a difference between, let's say, guilt and shame, right? You know, they always talk about guilt and shame almost like more of a Western value, more of an Eastern or Asian value. That's, of course, not correct, but there is an interesting difference. So, of course, when I don't want to get into this, but when you look at the three Semitic faiths of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, guilt is a huge thing. That's a huge part of those religions. And one of the reasons is because the ethical systems you get in those are based on a legal framework, that you have God giving you laws. And then a big thing is trying to figure out what those laws are. How do I apply them in my life? And again, if I break those laws, I am guilty, not just before God being a judge, but before myself, right? I've let myself down by breaking this law, right? And this is, in Kantian ethics, this is a huge thing where Immanuel Kant says that the ethical nature of the world itself depends on your personal sense of guilt. In other words, all ethics depends on me universalizing my action, which is interesting. So in the middle of the night and it's a red light, I should still wait for it rather than go through it, because I'm myself laying down the ethical form of the universe. If I don't do it, then I'm putting out the statement that really no one else should do it either. If it's good enough, I should do it. Right? That's Kantian ethics. We're Buddhists here. We're not doing this. But there's a sense of, you can see how guilt plays more in Western ethics. Whereas you get in Buddhism, there isn't a sense of guilt. Why? There's no God. There's no judge. So when I shouldn't be too hard. I'm not people's therapist. When I had Buddhist friends, oh, I feel so guilty. And I'm like, hey, no one's watching. Like, don't feel, no one's going to punish you for this. The only person you should feel bad about is towards yourself, letting yourself down. So again, it's, you know, the more Western examples are more high and mighty with religion and literature. I sort of use the far more vulgar example of paying a lot of money for going to the gym and getting a personal trainer. So you get a personal trainer who's helping you, and then you leave and you go to 7-Eleven, you get Slurpees and eat bad hot dogs and stuff. Should you feel guilty? Well, no, I'm just saying, you know, the trainer doesn't care, you're still getting paid. And technically the only person you're doing is letting yourself down is yourself in that case. So this is more like self-overcoming, or sort of a personal program of self-perfection here. So guilt is a useless emotion. It torments people. It's sort of it gnaws at people. And like I say, it's not even part of this conceptual universe. So we can leave the guilt aside, but we can have shame. In a sense, shame before self, shame before others, as a way of bringing integrity or consideration, right? I'm ashamed of myself. I was rude to that person. I'm ashamed of myself that I didn't call my mom on her birthday. I got wrapped up. I went to brunch with friends. I couldn't be bothered to call her. That's shameful. I'm ashamed. So you see the different senses here. I think it's good to see the difference here, because we don't have to bring guilt in. Okay, so okay, yes. One thing I know Geshe Michael had is he sort of invented the idea called dirty good karma, which I actually really like. As he said, well, I mean, it's not his idea, of course, but I like the term dirty good karma. Without the right motivation, dedication, we just get dirty good karma, which means the suffering and change. In other words, don't become a karmic consumer. Number one, don't just suck all the good experiences in your life, right? In other words, you get all this good karma in your life, you're so fortunate, and then you just use it up. Like you're always golfing, going to Mexico all the time, buying fancy stuff, renovating the bathroom, going to Paris, going out for brunch every week, blah, blah, blah. And you're just burning through all your karma. You don't want to be like that. But what's interesting is that if you don't have a right intention, and don't dedicate, in other words, technically as Mahayana Buddhists, we should always be having a bodhicitta motivation, but also bodhicitta dedication. Any good thing, that's why, you know, without getting too neurotic, that's where you see people dedicating everything all the time, right? Where it's just like, wow, it's a beautiful sunset, I'm offering it to the Buddhists, I'm dedicating, may all sentient beings enjoy this. Like Lama Zopa Rinpoche always does that. I think it's adorable, but he's always dedicating everything, like not a single thing goes by without him offering it up. But what he's showing is that he's sharing it with all sentient beings and putting all that goodness towards the enlightenment of all sentient beings. So it's not wasted. So what happens a lot of times is when you're doing a lot of good things, if you're not dedicating, it's just going to ripen as more good samsara, where it's like, hey, I got a parking spot. Oh my God, this is on sale. What? I won the lottery? Like, these things are just coming at you as ripening of all your good karma. But technically, what are they doing? They're not really going anywhere. They're just ripening as pleasant experiences. And you can see that Trungpa Rinpoche always said, like, be careful, don't forget to dedicate, because if you're not dedicating and you're just this Dharma person, but not really going anywhere with your practice, you'll just end up in some celestial realm. Like, you'll create so much merit, but it's not being put towards enlightenment. So you'll be reborn as some kind of a god or something. And again, in the big picture, all of that karma is wasted. It's just going to be burned through. It's just going to be sort of, enjoyed, and then like everything else go away. In other words, it's dirty good karma. So it's easy, not to get like I get too neurotic about it, but just take time to dedicate stuff. If something's really beautiful, may all sentient beings enjoy this. May this be for the enlightenment of all sentient beings. And it's like you're always coding that and directing it on kind of the conveyor belt to enlightenment, so to speak. Okay, going back to the 4 kinds of good karmic deeds we've done. The first 2, 3 is when you have a virtuous thought. Okay, so all mental functions are virtuous by association. Sungden or association. So in other words, this is a good thing, is that it's kind of like that good energy. When you have good things, will start to affect the other mental factors in your experience, which is true. So, when you have good intentions, good motivations, performing virtue, other things, you can look through virtuous mental factors and see the list, but even things like feeling and so forth. Like, in other words, you will have more of a pure perception of things, right? The better you are, the gooder you are, the more virtuous you are, the more pure and more good and more enjoyable your life is going to be, right? So this is a huge principle of Tantra with pure view. This is why pure view is all based on us performing good virtues and keeping our vows purely, because it will start to purify our perception. And a lot of that's because you end up bundling all of this energy. Number 4, Kunlong, which is verbal and physical actions stemming from motivation. So I guess this is the idea. If you have, again, a pure motivation and pure intention here, your verbal and physical actions flowing from that will be good. Okay, so I guess that's sort of straightforward, or doesn't need to be mentioned. Okay, so, okay, I'm just looking here at this note here. Views, okay. Okay, so, and just the last point I was going to put here. So basically the nature of our spiritual education or our spiritual path here by studying karma, what we really want to do is, of course, we're studying karma, but we have to ally, and we'll see later on in the course how this goes, but we really have to join this study or education of karma with an education or study of emptiness. So what's interesting is the more we meditate on emptiness, the more we see things as being more illusory or not being inherently existent. Ironically, this allows us to practice karma better. It allows us to, again, combat our delusions, getting rid of our 3 root delusions, of ignorance being the big one, of course. Ignorance is ignorance of karma and emptiness, but also hatred and attachment. So we're seeing things as being less self-existent more and more and more. The more we study, the more we meditate, the more we practice, then it's easier to practice the 10 virtues and get rid of the 10 non-virtues. It's easier to be good. So this is why I got the note here that wrong view is probably the worst of the 10 non-virtues we can have as a mental karma, because ultimately it's wrong view of emptiness and karma. We wouldn't be bad. We wouldn't do bad things. We wouldn't be selfish. We wouldn't be hurtful if we had an understanding of emptiness and karma. It's kind of self-evident on that level. So in other words, conversely, the more understanding we have of karma, the more understanding we have of emptiness, the easier it is to be virtuous, right? Okay, so in other words, this is one of my good friends in Toronto always says, and it's her teacher that used to say it, but I guess I think you probably got it from Geshe Michael, who I know I think you got it from another Lama, blah, 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 but I just always said, your reality is your morality, which is really good. So you see here how this is what's interesting, is that we're literally tying our perception or reality itself to our virtue. This is a big thing in Buddhism, really. I mean, this is the whole point about taming your mind. So the hard thing then, as you can see, this is the existential thing, is that reality is, of course, a mirror of your ethical face, right? We just have to kind of look at it and see. I mean, this is it. The more virtuous you get, the more pure our reality becomes, and vice versa. So it's a bit of a litmus test where you're, I guess, polishing the mirror or clearing the mirror of your own karma, your own mind, of your own ethical face. So this is why, I mean, literally, it's not about ethics, isn't about impressing other people. It's not about impressing the judge, the external judge of your behavior. Quite literally, it's about clearing up your perception of your mind. And then it's about, actually, you can see tantrically, this is why we go right into Tantra. It's about, I don't want to say redesigning reality, but completely remaking reality in a pure way. Okay, so this is why, you know, the two great Kadampa teachers, right? Like Atisha comes in the 11th century and teaches the unity of the vast and profound paths. In other words, showing how emptiness and bodhicitta go together, which seems you got a critical negative thing of wisdom where you're taking things away with emptiness. You're seeing what they're not, but then at the same time, you're practicing what things are. You're practicing positive things like loving kindness and compassion. How do they go together? Atisha shows how. The great Kadam successor, Tsongkhapa, you know, whatever, 400 years later or something, is showing the unity of Sutra and Tantra, right? Based on the same principle. If I understand how the profound path and the vast path go together, what I'm really studying is karma and emptiness. So karma and emptiness, once I understand how they go together, Sutra and Tantra are the same thing, right? Which at that time they think, how can I be a monk but do all this wacky Tantra? You know, how, like, this doesn't seem to fit together. Well, you see that this is fitting together perfectly because your reality is your ethics. So your ethics will change reality, right? You can produce a heaven here and now or a hell here and now, depends. It's just all your mind. So that's the take home here. And that's why in a lot of ways, this is the nuts and bolts of studying karma. We're like in the future, if we want to study vows together, that's the most profound thing you can do. Everyone wants to run ahead to, oh my God, inner fire, illusory body, rainbow body, give me that. But all of that's, of course, based on the idea that you're changing reality through your vows. None of that stuff works. What's amazing is you see none of that stuff will work if you don't have the three higher trainings: ethics, concentration, and wisdom. None of Tantra won't work without any of that. And that's why Tsongkhapa at that time said, still very Gelugpa way, you should be a monk or a nun. It's this idea that even if you're not an outer monk or nun, you're an inner monk or nun. You're trying to be a really wholesome, sincere, ethical person. And that's what it means to really be a Kadampa, right? In the strict sense that Atisha brought to Tibet. Okay, that's that. So I just thought maybe we got 5 minutes left. If anyone has a question, I'd mentioned that I'd give a chance every class to have maybe a question or two just before we end it, because the material's quite dense and there's so much of it. So. Any question or comment? If there isn't, that's okay too. So.
Oh, Matthew,
Yes.
I have a question. But first of all, you mentioned the 5 good karmas.
Yeah, let me just turn back here. So that was, well, the first thing is the 3 kinds of karma: positive, negative, neutral, which of course, like I say, you know, probably no one needs to know that because it's so easy. But this was, wait, where did I, wrong class here. Okay. Yeah, so actually, yeah, the 4 kinds of good karma, right? So, but the second kind, which is a good deed that's good in and of itself, has 5 subsections to it. Is that what you're talking about, or?
That,
yeah.
After that section, started in on another section.
Yeah, so basically, like the four ones is, you know, the four good kinds.
Were there four of those?
There's four. So there's the first one is nirvana or enlightenment. Second one, which is actions which are good in and of themselves. And then the other two, which is basically having a virtuous thought makes all the mental factors around it virtuous. And then having virtuous thoughts or motivations make your speech and your physical actions virtuous in and of themselves. So it's just a way of dividing things up. Again, some of this is fairly kind of intuitive, right? So, I mean, the key is, again, always making sure that your intentions and I guess your whole way of life is ethical. I guess that's the whole take home there. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. Okay, so if that's the case, then we can just take a moment here to dedicate. So again, here we go, having the good, as they say in the Kadampas, the two bookends. You always start with good motivation, always end with a good dedication. So good motivation, we've tried to do that the whole time here. Practice now dedication for the elect of all sentient beings. So by the blessings of all holy beings, all light beings, and our teachers, the truth of karma, of causes and their effects, again, the power of a pure superior intention and bodhicitta, all of our dharma wishes be fulfilled. May all sentient beings reach full awakening. Yay, thank you. I'll just press stop here.